Welcome everyone to week 4 of this 5 weeks webinar series. Today our topic is health, movement, and creativity in learning, where the whole child wellness meets innovation in early learning. And that innovation is brought to you by Learning Genie's all-new AI lesson planner with embedded PD coaching and auto alignment to the PTKLF. I am your presenter. If you're new here, I've been in education for 16 years. I enjoy every aspect of it, so much so that I have been a program director, a preschool teacher, a data analyst, a behavior technician for students with special needs, a life coach, you name it. I have multiple certifications. The one of the most I think valuable certification is diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's opened me up to a lot, as well as culturally responsive, relevant, and sustaining certifications. So I have gotten a chance to really submerge myself into lots of different cultures and morals and values. So I enjoy that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you've been here for the last 3 weeks, you know that I like to open and close with a thought. So take a deep breath, let it out, and here is our opening thought. When we think about learning, we often picture students sitting at a circle time or at table time. Learning is rarely stationary. It lives in the wiggles, the wonders, the messy art, and in the spontaneous dance breaks. Today, we're exploring how health, movement, and creativity are not just extras, they are essential to every student's growth and development. These elements ignite the brain, unlock emotional expression, and connect children to the world and to themselves. In this session, we'll reimagine early learning environments as ecosystems of wellness and innovation, where every heartbeat, hop, and splash of color contributes to the whole child. Welcome to the future of education, everyone. Let's talk overview. So our webinar overview is, this webinar blends movement, creativity, and wellness with the power of technology and culturally responsive pedagogy. Grounded in the California's Preschool Transitional Kinder Learning Foundations, the PTKLF, this session is designed to reinvigorate coaching, teaching, and curriculum planning by leveraging Learning Genie's AI-powered lesson planner, embedded teaching tips, and planning tools. This is not your average webinar, and it has not been. It is an immersive, idea-generating space where educators, trainers, and coaches and leaders become designers of dynamic learning rooted in wellness, joy, and cultural relevance, all surrounded by technology. All right. Objectives. Who doesn't love an objective? I love objectives. So webinar four's objectives are to unpack the PTKLF domains of physical development, health, and visual and performing arts. When I sat there and I did some research on this and I was looking into it, I was just so excited because I'm a very hyper person and I can be dramatic sometimes. And so I'm like, oh, physical development, visual and performing arts. Oh, that's my alley. That's up my alley. So you might get a few animations out of me every once in a while. So as you unpack the PTKLF domains of physical development and health and visual and performing arts, you'll get to explore how these foundational areas support the whole child learning and development through intentional planning and practice. You'll discover how Learning Genie's unit planning tools empower innovation. Who doesn't love innovation with technology? I do. While learning how the AI-powered lesson planner aligns with the PTKLF, and we've been seeing that throughout this series. It's beautiful, it's phenomenal, it's remarkable, and it's very helpful, especially for people who are new coming into education, or if you're new exploring the PTKLF and DRDP. And also culturally responsive, relevant, sustaining, and linguistic approaches. We'll also bridge pedagogy with practice. So you'll be able to identify ways to transform the PTKLF aligned objectives into engaging learning experiences that blend health, movement, and creativity using Learning Genie's planning tools and teaching tips. We got a chance to look at the teaching tips as well. I really, really enjoy those teaching tips. It doesn't matter how long you've been in education. It doesn't matter the time. You still need some guides. You still grow. You still develop. And of course, we all still need mentors. And so think of this as a little mentor for you, the teaching tips. You'll have a chance to enhance engagement and inclusion through dynamic learning opportunities. You'll learn strategies to design culturally responsive, inclusive, and physical active learning environments that reflect students' identities and diverse ways of learning. And of course, we're going to ignite some flames inside of you. Educators, you get a chance to have some inspiration through data informed, joy filled planning while understanding how Learning Genie supports reflection, documentation, and educator growth. So sometimes, as educators, we focus on our families, our community, and our students all the time. I know I do. And sometimes I forget about myself. And then I'll look at my professional development and I'll go, okay, it's been months. I need to get this together. So you'll have an opportunity to see how Learning Genie's embedded teaching tips and PD will help you as well. You'll also get a chance to learn about wellness and imagination and daily practice as you engage in your classrooms using these lesson plans that we create. All right, let's dive in. So let's talk about domains. Our first domain we're going to talk about is the physical development domain of the PTKLF. It focuses on students' growth in fine motor skills, body awareness, coordination, and balance. It lays the groundwork for self-regulation, spatial understanding, and executive functioning. Movement becomes a powerful vehicle for building brain body connections and developing confidence in physical expression. So, as you know, I love differentiated instruction. And so I want to give you an idea of an activity that really sparks that physical development and aligns with this PTKLF domain. The activity is called Shapeshifter Optical Obstacle Quest. Shapeshifter Obstacle Quest. So this will give you an idea of what that whole definition means. As students navigate an obstacle course, they must change their body shapes. They can go from wide to narrow to twisted to curled to move through tunnels, over cushions, under any structures that's safe and around cones. Each station includes a movement challenge like balancing, hopping, or crawling while responding to spatial cues so they can move through the tunnels like a zigzag. So that's a great physical development example or activity that you can do with your students. And the development is it combines gross motor development with body awareness, spatial orientation, and creativity, engaging both the body and the brain in an imaginative, high energy way. So that's a great activity. And you'll have these activities. So don't worry. Don't worry. The next domain is the health domain. So it addresses students' physical well being, nutrition, personal care routines, and safety. This domain reinforces emotional regulation, learning readiness, and resilience. When students feel safe, nourished, and rested, they are better equipped to engage in joyful, focused learning. So here's an activity example. I did this, I think, my third year working in education. It's called the Germ Detective Adventure. Germ Detective Adventure. And we all know kids come to school and we try to teach them how to wipe their nose and wash their hands. And every once in a while, you get that student that does that whole wipe. So children with this activity become germ detectives with magnifying glasses, real or pretend, and they go on a mission around the classroom to find and solve healthy habits like hand washing, covering coughs, choosing healthy snacks, and getting rest. They act out each habit when they find a clue. So what I did was is I printed out little pictures and I laminated them and I put them around the classroom, and then we had some open-end discussions about them and what they would do. And some of the students even acted it out. It was so cool. And they really enjoyed being detectives. They also, some of them tied it into like their parents. Some of them said, my mom likes to watch um whatever those shows are, those shows that they watch, like the detective shows. I'm like, wow, okay, that's cool. So they were able to generalize that into a different setting. That's amazing. So the development. In doing this activity, it transformed routine health habits into imaginative play, helping students internalize important safety and wellness practices throughout movement, role play, and exploration. All right, visual and performing arts. This is our last domain. So it encompasses creative expression through music, dance, drama, and visual arts. This domain nurtures imagination, storytelling, cultural identity, collaboration, and emotional expression. So just that paragraph in itself, it's just, it's like they're describing me. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, you guys. It's just a beautiful definition. I mean, I just really, truly love visual and performing arts. So I'm going to read it one more time because I want you to hear it. This domain nurtures imagination, storytelling, cultural identity, collaboration, and emotional expression. We need that. We need that in this day and age. It allows children to explore and communicate complex ideas in meaningful, developmentally appropriate ways. So here's an example of an activity. Story sculptors. Students work in pairs to become living statues that act out parts of a story using only their bodies, no words. Oh, how tough would that be with your littles? With your littles, think about that. No words. One student is a sculptor, shaping their partner into a pose that represents a feeling or action from a shared story. Then they switch roles, and the other student becomes the sculptor. The development is this is a playful art infused activity that nurtures creativity, collaboration, emotional expression, all while supporting physical awareness and cultural storytelling traditions. Phenomenal, phenomenal. Don't you just love the PTKLF? I do. I do. All right. And of course, you know, I love a poll. I love a good poll. So it's poll time. Here is your poll question. Which area do you currently feel most confident integrating into your lesson plans? And when I say confident, I mean you know how to align the PTKLF to goals, objectives, daily classroom instruction, and observations. So I can't wait to see what the percentage is on physical development. I'm thinking it's going to be high. Oh, I guessed right. Physical development, 31%. Health, 7%. Wow, that's okay. Visual and performing arts, 28%. I integrate all three regularly, 21%. I'm still learning how to embed these intentionally, 14%. Well, that's okay. That's okay. Because you're gonna get this new feature in Learning Genie and it's gonna be seamless. It's gonna be seamless. No worries. All right. Let's move right along to um so last week we discussed the new PD in Learning Genie. And so I just want to recap and refresh this idea in your head. This week, well, last week we looked at the lesson planner, but this week we're going to look at adaptation, how to adapt a lesson. And so that is going to be any current curriculums that you're using. I'm going to use one that I use. And so I'm going to just pop in a current curriculum and put it into the adapt portion. So you'll get to see what it's like when you're currently using a curriculum, how to integrate it into this new feature in Learning Genie. So last week we explored the new PD companion with embedded teaching and coaching tips. So we're going to recap the features, which is built-in coaching while you plan. The PD companion acts as a virtual instructional coach during unit and lesson planning. It provides real-time context, specific teaching tips aligned with the PTKLF standards, DRDP, culturally responsive and linguistic. While teachers plan, the AI suggests teaching tips that are specific to what they're working on. And please don't forget that it can be adapted to those students that are in your classrooms that may have an IEP, may have behavioral concerns, or all of your students as far as culturally responsive is concerned. The companion supports best practices like the universal design for learning, making lessons accessible to all. And so we're going to capitalize ALL, all learning styles. That's beautiful. I can remember struggling in the classroom when I had multiple learning styles and I had multiple IEPs and then I had multiple behaviors in the classrooms. And then if we had a new teacher in the classroom, so just imagine all of that piled up on your plate and you're like, okay, I just need I just need some guidance. I need some support. I need some help. So something like this is really beneficial when you need things outlined for you, and when you have so many students in your classrooms and you want to make sure that you're meeting their needs. You're meeting them at their developmental level and helping them advance to the next developmental level and so on. And you're of course you're following those standards for operation. So the AI ensures lessons are inclusive and adaptable regardless of the need. And there is the culturally and linguistic responsive teaching part that makes lessons relevant. I have met many educators who say, I really don't know how to align this to everyone's culture in my classroom. And if you really think about it, it can be a bit complex to align to everyone's culture. So the Learning Genie kind of gives you a guide, a professional development teaching tool that helps you understand how to do this and how to implement culturally responsive into different aspects of your classrooms and for your different students that you're serving. And it also gives you some teaching tips, depending on what you put in, to help with your parents and how to communicate and how to extend that activity at home. And we'll look at that. For coaches and teachers, coaches can use it to model how to build strong, inclusive lesson plans while also guiding teachers in designing experiences that support mastery of key concepts and promotes generalization. Last week, we talked about mastering, how most of the students and the teachers will master a concept, but can it be generalized? And when we say generalized, can we take it into different environments and use that skill or use that knowledge, and it's also just as meaningful and applicable to that situation. So we really want to make sure that even though we're mastering this, we're also generalizing it across environments. Teachers get support in the moment. So I can remember times where I'm very like antsy. And so when I send an email out, I'm like, how long is it going to take them to answer me? How long is it going to take to answer that? How long is it going to? And so in this teaching tool, teaching tips tool, you have the ability to have that answered right now, as opposed to waiting and going, okay, should I not? So you have that professional development component that answers your questions right away. And of course, you might still need to send an email, but go ahead and send the email. So think of Learning Genie's PD Companion and Lesson Library as your dynamic teaching partner, combining creativity, movement, wellness into every plan with real time PTKLF aligned teaching tips. You are not just planning lessons, you're designing whole child experiences. All right, so let's head over to Learning Genie to create a adapted lesson plan aligned with our PTKLF domains for the week. Um, I actually had created some like little words to pop in that came from a curriculum. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. So we're going to go to our lesson library. All right. And so here is that little purple box, and it says create or adapt a lesson. And so you can create a lesson from scratch, is what we call it, from scratch, or you can adapt a lesson, which again, if you're using a curriculum, any curriculums, we have lots of curriculums out there. So whatever curriculum you're using, you can go ahead and pop in those keywords from your current curriculum into this one. So let's see what that looks like. So activity description. So if you're using something like a creative curriculum or Frog Street or whatever you're using, go ahead and take that activity description and place your existing activity or lesson plan here in the adaptation. So I already copied mine, and so I'm going to put it here. And so these are some of the key words. And then how would you like to adapt this lesson? So personalization and adaptations. I think I'm going to put in just a few just a few things. So I just put movement and art. And then we're going to keep it as preschool 3 to 4. We're going to keep it as California PTKLF subject domains, since we're focused this week on health and we're focused on physical development and visual and performing arts. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that it says create localized curriculum. And then we're going to hit generate. And so this is the first time I've shown you how to adapt the lesson. All of the other weeks we were using organic ones. Now we're using ones that we already have within our programs. So we're going to think about time and think about how many students you're serving in your classrooms, whether if you're serving 14 to 26, you still have to create a lesson plan to accommodate every single student. Remember that DAP, developmentally appropriate practices. Remember that cultural responsiveness, making sure that you're being culturally responsive. Remember those IEPs that you have in the classrooms. How are you modifying this lesson plan to meet the needs of your students? Remember that UDL. Are we including all students? All students. And remember, developmentally appropriate practices says you're not reusing a lesson plan. You're not reusing it, you're creating it to fit that environment in that classroom. And as you know, it changes every year. So let's see what we have so far. So going back up to the top, look at the picture. You guys, look at the picture. Look at the picture. I love the picture. All right, it's still creating, but I'm going to say right now we're at 1 minute and 36 seconds. 1 minute and 36 seconds. That is not bad, you guys. So think about you and how you do in your classroom when you're trying to adapt your lesson plan. It takes a while. It takes a while, especially when you're trying to meet every single need of your student. So let's go back up to the top. So it named my lesson plan for me, Move, Play, and Create. Wow, you guys. And then look at the picture. Like I told you, I'm big on pictures. So it looks really, really beautiful. It looks like an actual classroom. And again, it's aligned to the PTKLF. Here are my standards here. So it automatically adapted and chose my standards. The prep time, don't forget, you guys, you can change your prep time and you can change your activity duration. Don't worry. I know sometimes we say to ourselves, my kids can't sit that long. My kids can't focus that long, or I don't want this activity to be that long. Modify it. There's no restrictions on that. Please modify it. Your prepared time, if you're like me and you have everything lined out in your classroom, that prepared time is probably 5 minutes. So don't worry about that. Objectives, targeted behavior and skills. So children will explore movement through music and imaginative play. You guys, so it's covering every single one that we just discussed. Enhancing their physical coordination and creativity. They will practice responding to music with body movements, engage in role play, and invent dance movements, cultivating their expressive abilities and teamwork skills. Beautiful. I can see myself twirling in the classroom now with the students. Can you? Materials. So portable music player. We should all have a portable music player. If you are being Eckert, you should have one in your classrooms. A selection of music tracks, a variety of styles and tempos. Again, that's that culturally responsive right there, you guys. That's that developmentally appropriate practice. Animal masks or simple costume pieces like scarves and hats. Dramatic play area, go over there and grab that stuff. You should have it. I know during COVID, we pulled it out of the classrooms, but you guys should put it back in the classrooms and you should have it there. And who doesn't love a good scarf twirl? I do. Soft mats or cushions for safe jumping and landing. Safety first, and it's a requirement. Art supplies, papers, crayons, and markers. So this is just your things that you should already have in your classrooms. Perfect. Your implementation steps. So it really outlines everything for you. And what I like about this section is the implementation steps are not like long and drawn out. Look how short they are, short and simple, straight to the point. It tells you exactly how to implement this lesson plan. The California PTKLF teaching tips for standards. Take a look at that, educators. Take a look at that, coaches and trainers. Encourage children to jump like a frog. Focus on height. Use mats for safe landing, emphasizing pushing off with both feet and landing softly. So this is a great time to talk to your trainers and coaches. This is a great time to talk to your educators and say, if you don't know how to collect observations, this is a teachable and teaching tip moment. You can say during this activity right here, jumping, you're going to watch for this and you're going to document this and you're going to take your pictures, etc. So this is a great way to help educators intentionally, and of course you want to do some unintentional, but intentionally collect those observations. So you want intentional and unintentional, which are things that just happen around the classrooms. So if we're looking at the VPA 2.2 here, Responding to music with body movements, beautiful. I love dancing with my students. I love listening to music. I love incorporating music. Sometimes students will bring in music from their homes, and we listen to it and we enjoy it, and kids get so excited. Sometimes you have trends as well, depending on what's happening. You have trends of music that's safe for students, and you play it in the classrooms. So, this is a great way to encourage that music and movement. Engaging role play, inventing and improving dance. Don't you just love that? I love it. I'm a dancer. I'm not a dancer, but I dance. And I think I can dance good, but you guys don't ask anyone. I'm just going to keep thinking I can dance good. Typical behaviors and observation tips. So this is where those behaviors come in. And I know we're seeing an influx of that in our classrooms. We're seeing a lot of IEPs, IFSPs come into our classrooms. So this is a great way to help with those typical behaviors and any other behaviors that you're having in your classrooms that you need to modify this lesson plan for. And helping them. Lots of kids like to move and move and groove and move around and get that energy going. So keep that in mind. And again, this is a section that can be modified. Don't worry, it can all be modified. Or if you don't like these standards or measures, you can change those as well. The section for learners with IEPs. So take a look at that. Again, this is another teaching tip for you. This is the learnable moment. Modify role play activities by providing simple visual cue cards that depict different animals and their corresponding movements. So again, that's some differentiated instruction in here, and you're using some visuals, some audibles, some tactiles or kinesthetics. This is a great way to modify for those students in the classrooms who need additional support. Um, Coming down here for English language learners, you can adapt the dance and role play activities by providing bilingual animal masks with the animals' names written in both English and in the child's native language. And so again, sometimes, and I have to say for myself, sometimes when I'm trying to adapt different lesson plans for English language learners, I find myself using the same thing over and over and over. And I'm like, okay, Erica, you're always using these. Just put the name right there in Spanish, but there's different things that you can incorporate. Like they said, under the animal mask, put the name in Spanish, but the animal mask. So sometimes I'll just put names like a book today, or we're doing jumping, but really getting engaged into what it does and writing it out and spelling it out in that student's home language is essential. Okay. And it helps you do that. Culturally and linguistic responsive practices. This section, again, we talk about this every time. This is a great way to ensure you're meeting the needs of all of your students. And this section can also be modified. So we'll just read one and then we'll go back over to our slides. Well, first we'll talk about the connections to home, which is another part that's extremely important. So incorporate a selection of music tracks that represents various cultural backgrounds during the lesson. For example, you can include traditional African drumming, Latin salsa, and classical Indian music to provide children with a diverse auditory experience. Keep in mind that you want to make sure you're matching the cultural representation in your classroom, the actual representation. And if it's an activity that's talking about a specific culture, explain it to the children. Talk about regions in the world, talk about continents, etc. So you can find ways to modify this as well and to make it fit the needs of the students in your classrooms and to open them up to new worlds, new things, and new possibilities that are out there. All right. Family resources. Again, this is a section that I super duper love. I love this section because far too often you have parents come in and they ask you what you're doing for the week, or they'll read what you sent out to them that you're doing for the week and they'll go, I don't understand what that meant. Can you help me? This really spells it out for them. It tells them exactly what you'll be working on. It tells them how they can extend that at home. It makes it really, really responsive to that home environment, not just the school word savviness. Sometimes we use these words and the parents go, what does that mean? I can remember parents sitting at parent conference time and I'd say, your child is building middle. And they're like, what? You know, so this section really, really brings the parent into the classroom and incorporates well, I would say infuses their knowledge of what you're doing in the classrooms with the kids, and they can extend it at home. And of course, that 360 connection is needed from home to school and school to home. All right. We are going to go back over to our slides. And so we're going to talk about what this means for coaches and what it means for educators. And so I call this the 5 high impact coaching strategies. And what I mean by that is coaches are able to help teachers model it in motion, use video playback, co-plan with a creative lens. They're able to celebrate small and large wins, reflect and refresh. And so those are my 5 high impact coaching strategies. And so let's talk about them. So model it in motion is a way to demonstrate the integration of movement and arts within routines to inspire confidence and creativity. um, Use video playback. Capture short classroom clips to reflect on students' engagement, movement patterns, and expressions. And so, as a coach or as a trainer, you're using these teaching tips to help the educators understand how this lesson plan that they created can they can use to gather information on student development. They can use for observations. They can use to create teachable moments in the classrooms. It can be used for many things. And they can trainers and coaches can also help guide teachers in embedding music, storytelling, and active play into weekly plans using the PTKLF aligned prompts from Learning Genie. They can also celebrate those small and large wins. Far too often, I meet educators who say, they didn't say I did a good job, or I just want to hear someone say I did great. Yeah, true. And you deserve that. You deserve that. You have a lot on your plate. You have a lot of things that you're dealing with. And so you must celebrate those small and large wins. So acknowledge moments of creativity and independent alignment to learning goals. Remember that the more teachers use the lesson planner, the more they become acquainted with how the domains and measures aligns to the lesson plans, goals, observations, and routines. So the more you do, the more you use this lesson planner, the more it embeds into your mind. And you'll start to say to yourself, I know how to do that. I know what that means. I know how to put that there. So just keep that in mind as you intentionally plan and as you use the lesson planner. Reflect and refresh. Build in regular debrief meetings to explore what worked, what brought joy, and how to elevate the next experience for your educators. It's all about the continued growth and development. So helping your students grow and develop, and helping your educators grow and develop as well in implementing these lesson plans into the classroom with intentionality. All right. Coaching training prompts aligned to the PTKLF. So, spark daily reflection. Help educators become more intentional by noticing and naming meaningful moments in physical, creative, and wellness centered learning opportunities. Bridge observation to action. So, you allow coaches to frame observations and guide feedback in ways that are strength based, aligned to the PTKLF, and grounded in students' lived experiences. You'll encourage responsive practices. All of this information that you receive is coming directly from Learning Genie's unit planner, lesson planner, and teaching tips. Promote collaborative conversations, provide shared language for coaching conversations, team planning, and educator journaling. So encourage your educators to journal as well. Build habits of mind. Reinforce consistent whole child thinking, centered movement, creativity, and health as vital elements of learning, not extras. So you can ask as a coach or as a trainer, ask your educators questions like, what do students feel in their bodies today? Or what creative choice did a student make today? How did the health routine or routine empower a student's independence today? Where did you notice joy in the movement that they did today? How did culture show up in your classrooms today? So asking those questions will spark lots of things in your educators, in your teachers. You want to add these prompts and they'll generate a lot of different ideas as your teachers grow and develop in their crafts. Remember, we're always and continuously growing and developing. So, let's reflect. You should have a clear understanding of how to identify the PTKL of domains of physical development, health, and visual and performing arts that supports the whole child. You should understand how to use Learning Genie's AI-powered unit lesson planner to create experiences aligned with the PTKLF. You should have an idea of how to design playful, inclusive learning environments that integrate physical activity because It's embedded inside of Learning Genie. You should know how to apply these cultural and linguistic strategies because it's embedded in Learning Genie. And you should be able to reflect on how data and embedded teaching tips in Learning Genie can elevate, increase engagement and enhance curriculum planning because it's in the Learning Genie platform. So here's my closing thoughts. When we center health, movement, and creativity in early learning, we're not just enriching a curriculum, we are nurturing lives. Every jump, every brush stroke, every story told through dance becomes a pathway to confidence, connection, and community. As educators, you are the architects of that joy. Keep moving, keep creating, and never underestimate the brilliance you possess that is sparked by the freedom to play, feel, create, and explore. Next steps. Schedule a one-to-one demo of PD sessions. Connect with Learning Genie. Connect with Learning Genie's consultants to explore and subscribe to the new platform. And don't forget to scan the QR code. And if you don't want to scan the QR code, we'll send it out in the email. So you guys can either wait for that, copy and paste the link, or scan the QR code. And thank you again for joining me. And please join me next week, April 24th at 11 a.m. as we dive into the fifth and final webinar in this series, Building Math Foundations Through Exploration and Play. So get ready to explore how building math foundations through exploration play can enhance student problem solving skills, spatial awareness, and confidence in using math concepts during everyday experiences. So I cannot wait to see you guys next week. I look forward to seeing you. And thank you all for being here. Until next week, everyone.